Shall we start, Ms. Vidya?
Sure, ma'am. Books and doors are the same thing. You open them and then you go to another world. Watch with glittering eyes the whole world around you, because the greatest secrets are always hidden in the most unlikely places. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it. These are the wise words of the renowned novelist Roald Dahl. I'm not certain if Roald Dahl had books in mind when he wrote them. However, I would like to believe so, because I believe in the uniquely portable magic called books. And I am certain that all the lovers of books and reading will nod with me in agreement. A very warm good morning to all the enthusiastic audience, which include parents, teachers, and our beloved students. We are here to promote the joy of books and reading on the occasion of the World Book and Copyright Day. Each year, 23rd of April is observed as World Book and Copyright Day. Let me take this opportunity to deem a hearty welcome to Dr. Ruchi Ranjan, renowned writer, whom we are much privileged to have with us today, an eminent author and an erudite scholar who will be talking to us today. On behalf of Shri M. Kumaraya, Pro Vice Chairman of the Delhi Public School and Pallavi Group of Schools, Director T. Sudha Ma'am, Director Pallavi Ma'am, Chief Operating Officer Yashasvi Malka Sir, Senior Principal Dr. Sunita S. Rao, I am profusely elated to take this opportunity to extend a hearty welcome to our eminent guest, Dr. Ruchi Ranjan, as well as our illustrious guest, Shri Subhajit Saha. I deem it a great honor to request Ms. Nandita Sunkara, Senior Vice Principal of Delhi Public School, Nacharam, and Principal of Delhi Public School, Mahendra Hills, to flag off this momentous occasion by delivering the welcome address and thereby introducing the illustrious guests for the day. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Vidya. A warm welcome to our eminent guest for the day, Dr. Ruchi Ranjan, Mr. Subhajit Saha, my dear parents, teachers, and dear students. We are connected here because of books. So the pivot point where the World Book and Copyright Day becomes a reason, and Delhi Public School, Nacharam, finds ways and means to bring educators, book lovers on a common platform. Visionary Chairman Shri M. Kumaraya Sir, Director Pallavi Ma'am, COO Mr. Yashasvi, our Senior Principal and Deputy Director R&R, Ms. Sunita Rao, warmly welcomes Dr. Ruchi Ranjan. A warm welcome, ma'am. This is a platform wherein we have students of grade 9 to 12 listening and awaiting a lot to be delivered, especially because I think books are the reason that institutions exist. Books are the reason that all of us are connected on a common platform today. Let me take this opportunity on behalf of the school to introduce Dr. Ruchi Ranjan, who lives in Hyderabad, the city of Nizams. Born and brought up in New Delhi, ma'am holds a doctorate in psychology from the University of Delhi and is a trained counselor as well. She has taught psychology at the university level and has to her credit several published research papers. Her book of Drabbles, Our World, a Symphony of Drabbles by Three Generations, is a national bestseller and has received praise from renowned authors like Ruskin Bond and Sashi Tharoor. It has been translated into Hindi as Hamari Dunya, travels ki teen पीढ़ियों द्वारा. A warm welcome, dear ma'am, to this world of knowledge where you share along with the other bestsellers across the globe. Let me also take this opportunity to welcome our guest, Mr. Shubhajit Saha, who is the head of legal and IPR for Resolute Group and founder of Resolute 4IP. Previously, he worked with as the CII director for 18 years. Sir is also the founder president of Society Intellectual Property Rights Awareness Society and part of Hyderabad Runners. Sir is known in every walk of the eco initiatives by the city. A warm welcome, sir. May I also take this opportunity to invite.
Thank you.
May I take this opportunity to invite Mr. Shubhajit Saha to set the ball rolling before we invite Dr. Ruchi Ranjan to take the talk forward. On to you, sir.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
I know it's not the right statement post-pandemic. Now it's almost 2 years, but still we have to, it's a hybrid world. Yeah, and also I'm in Metchel, so it's a manufacturing unit here. So, the bandwidth is low. So, students should know that there are two different worlds of manufacturing, academia, and today's world, book and copyright day. So it's always great to be among young minds. I just thought I'll spend 2 minutes and kind of give you a kind of an introduction on Intellectual Property Rights Awareness Society. So students, I think we all are touched by intellectual property rights in our walk of lives. From the day we start our journey, like from morning reading a newspaper or having a toothpaste or a brand, but we don't pause and appreciate the innovations and inventions which have changed our lives. And such as one is the creativity which people write books and read. So I was going through an ad which says that internet ka kya hai, kabhi bhi disconnect ho sakta hai, magar books will always be with you. So, you should always have this statement that books will always be your best friends for life. Internet can come and go. AI will also be driven or not driven, whatever it is. But a hard copy of book is always there for you to save your, do some things productive and, create wonders. So that is the first thing. The second thing is this IP society has been formed by like-minded professionals. A few of them are lawyers, professionals from different walks of life. And Arjuna awardee also, you must be knowing him, Mr. Anup Kumar Yama, who skates around your skating campus here. So, and then, this was basically to help students understand IP, spread awareness on innovation and intellectual property rights, and also to appreciate geographical indications like products like Sherial paintings, Nirmal paintings, and Pochampalli, so that your school can take a conscious decision to help these weavers and artisans in their journey to give back to the society. We thought we should embark on this journey. So that's the introduction on IP Rus. And coming to this World Book and Copyright Day, why is it celebrated? It started in 1995 as an initiative of UNESCO, basically to celebrate world-class authors, celebrate reading, publication, and copyrights. Today is the death anniversary of William Shakespeare. I think that's the reason, people started this celebrating along with Lucius Idak, the other artist who actually died on this day. And then it became a World Books Day, and then it's been celebrated. So we are almost, today is 23 plus 5, 27th year of the celebrations today. So, and that's the reason, and no better than having Ruchi ma'am to address you today and your own teachers. So I think that's the great connect. And I thank DPS profusely from the bottom of my heart, and Dr. Nandita, whom you've been chasing for, I think, before this program, and also Dr. Ruchi ma'am to accept from the busy schedule and, make this possible. And I'm sure that you'll go back with a wonderful 1 hour of memories for life. And this will also, create many J.K. Rowlings or many other future creators. It's not only about creating rockets or creating fast jets or creating about R&D or world-class phones. It's also about creating knowledge, content, anything which is original, so that you respect the originality and you give due credit to one another. So that's the essence of intellectual property rights, which students you should remember. Create anything, but create your own thing which is original. Thank you. I think with this, I leave the forum to the moderator and the co-organizer, and also I'm also eager to hear Dr. Ruchi ma'am. And a very happy World Book and Copyrights Day to one and all. Thank you so much.
So much, Sri Subhajit Saha. Thank you especially for throwing light on that piece of information to us. I would also like to remind the audience that it is not only the death anniversary, but also traditionally we remember the birthday of William Shakespeare on the 23rd of April as well. So it's both his death anniversary as well as his birthday, which we traditionally remember him for. On that note, with immense joy, with immense exultation, I would like to take this opportunity to invite once again, I extend a very warm welcome to you, Dr. Ruchi Ranjan. I think it's a matter of immense delight that you will be speaking on the occasion of World Book and Copyright Day. And at the same time, it is quite alarming that book reading has somewhat taken a back seat in the digital era. Many bookshops, many publishers have also closed down, Dr. Ruchi. So do you think it is the digital boom that has to do with the same?
Thank you, Vidyaji. First of all, a very good morning and hello, everyone. I am extremely happy to be here today, and a lot of thanks to the organizers, to IPR Awareness Society, to DPS Nacharam for having me over. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. Now, your question, Vidyaji, it is a very pertinent question in today's times. Yes, we are concerned about the decline of book reading in today's times. The advent of internet and social media has been a source of distraction, not only for children, but for also grown-ups like us, We are so addicted to WhatsApp, to Facebook, to Insta, that it leaves us very little time for any other recreational activity like book reading. But while it is a matter of concern, yes, but there are certain parameters which indicate that there's still some hope. And see, I think the other day I was talking to Nandita ji, and she was telling me that around 340 students of DPS Nacharam, they are published authors. So this is really awesome. It's so amazing. At such a young age, children are becoming, they're not only reading books, but then they are going into publication. They are publishing their own work. So there is hope. And in the pandemic, now the pandemic has shown us that books, pandemic has made us to value, in fact, I would say revalue books. When we had nothing to do in the lockdown, then book became our friends. So we are never alone without books. And in fact, the bookshops, some of the bookshops did close down, but there are other reasons for that too. I think it is maybe because of the competition from the online booksellers, the convenience of getting a book at your doorstep. That may be the reason. And then also there are some shops opened up during COVID because there was an increased demand for books during that time. So, and another thing is that we find that during the book exhibitions, the book fairs, even the recently concluded Hyderabad Literature Festival, the young crowd, the turnout of the young children, it was enormous. So they not only participated, they not only bought books, but they also presented their work at the Literature Festival. So I think while it is a matter of concern, but then the students of like DPS, an example which Nantaji had told me. So there is hope, and that is a Generation Z, which is the hope for tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you for your insightful words, Ruchi ma'am. On that note, again, being such an erudite scholar, we would also like to listen to you tell something about your debut book and your whole journey of becoming a published author.
Yeah. So you see, my book, it is a co-authored book. It is a different book in the sense that it is a book of drabble. See, this is the front cover of the book. It is called Our World, a Symphony of Drabbles by Three Generations. So as the name suggests, it has been written by three generations of authors. Now, and these three generations of authors belong to a single family. So it's a unique book in two respects. One is that it has been written by a grandfather, the mother, and the daughter. So three of us have written this book, and and the second unique aspect of this book is that there are 86 stories in this. They are short stories which are called drabbles. Now, I'm sure many of you may not have heard of what a drabble is. So let me tell you in brief about what a drabble is. A drabble is nothing but a short story which is written in exactly 100 words. Yes, you heard me right. It is 100. It cannot be 99. It cannot be 101. So it is a unique and a different format of writing drabbles. So this is what our book is about. Yeah. And so I think before I proceed further, let me read out a drabble so that the children know what I'm talking about. Huh? So,
Yes, ma'am, sure.
yeah, I'll just read. See, this is called the title of the story is Call of the Wild. With bated breath, Naivasha waited quietly, watching the migration of wildebeests through the ravines of Masai Mara. Millions of these animals crossing the Grumeti, a fascinating sight she had never before seen. A thump and a loud thud. Many crossed over, escaping the eye of the wicked and cunning crocodile. But wait, what was that? The river turned blood red. A calf caught by the crocodile, while the mother wildebeest watched in distress across the river. Naivasha heard the voice of God. Lo and behold, she jumped into the river only to be united with the voice she had heard. So, see, this is in just 100 words. So this is the story. It is like any normal story with a proper beginning, a middle, and an end. Like a proper story, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the story has to be, it cannot be a paragraph. It has to be meaningful. It has to be interesting. It has to be current, but within the 100-word, requirement of what a travel is. So you have to be extremely concise. You have to take care of the brevity. As Shakespeare has said, brevity is the spice of it, is the soul of wit. Yeah.
Yes,
A lot can be said in short. So this book has got such travels written by three generations, by the grandfather, the mother, and the daughter. So three different perspectives are there. The grandfather has his own take on life, then I have my own. Then Ishika, the third generation author. This book was released in 2020, and during the pandemic, when the third generation was the author, she was a student of class 10. So she was studying in Hyderabad in grade 10. So she was 15 years old, and she has written stories from her point of view. They are mostly on adventure, horror, those kinds. And my stories are basically related to, they are more on realistic fiction. So like I am inspired by my surroundings, by the people. I observe people a lot, their idiosyncrasies. And the grandfather, though he is the oldest, but Once you read the book, you will find that he's the youngest at heart. So his stories are full of humor, wit, and wit. So this is our book and brief about our book. Yeah. And the journey. I think the second part of the question was about the journey.
Becoming a published author, ma'am.
Being a published. See, now at the outset, I will confess that my becoming a published author was just by chance. It was purely incidental. So, though of course I have been writing since my childhood, and like many of the students of DPS, and I'm sure you may be a member of, you will have been having an editorial team. And I was also, when I was in school, I was also a part of my school editorial team, and I used to contribute articles for the school magazine. And when I was growing up, that was long back in the mid 80s, there used to be a children's magazine called Target. Now, this magazine is no longer in circulation, but when I was growing up, it was there. And so I used to contribute some of my writings. It could be poem, or a small story, and they used to get published. Sometimes it used to get published, sometimes it was not published, but I used to write. So the intent was never to, from the point of view of writing a book, it was just because I enjoyed writing. So I used to write, and it could be anything. My own experiences, they could be whatever I have observed, I found fascinating. So I would pen it down. Because as it is, I am a person of few words. I mean, I articulate myself better by writing. So, and it is a source of catharsis for me. It gives a vent to my feelings. So I like to write. It's for the pleasure of writing that I write now. But as regards my journeys, you can say that 2 years are significant. One is the year 2016 and the other is 2020. Now, in 2016, what happened was that I got introduced to this very interesting and fascinating format of travel writing. Now, when I heard of this writing a story in 100 words, I couldn't believe. I said, how is it possible to write in 100 words? Anyway, but then since I had this, I liked writing my experiences. I'm not maintaining a diary, but I do like to write down. So I like this format, and I gave it a try. But it was very difficult, extremely difficult. So anyway, and in Hyderabad, I am a member of a book club here, which is called the Dog Ear Society. And what happens in this book club is that every month the members get together and we discuss about a particular book or about any interesting, whatever we have read about author. So that is our the hallmark of our book club here. And when it was my turn to host, then I suggested that why not try this 100-word format? And everybody was taken aback. How is it possible to write a whole story? So anyway, we gave it a try, and it worked out. But then I was writing. After that, I continued to write, but though not on a regular basis, but on and off I was writing. And then that was 2016. So you can say the seed was sown in the year 2016, but it was unintentional. And what happened in 2020 is, we all know, the world was hit by the pandemic, and there was complete lockdown. And Ishika, who's a third generation author, she was in grade 10 at that time. And her board exams, she was in the ICSE board, and we didn't know. I mean, it was a period of uncertainty. So how to engage her? I asked her, I tried to involve her. Okay, why don't you join and write the travels? This is not from the point of view of publication at that point of time also. Just to involve her during the lockdown phase, she participated. So then when she joined in, then I thought, and then, when at home, there's nothing much to do. We were just sitting outside, and one fine day we were looking at the clouds going by. So there was a dark cloud, a patch of dark cloud, which looked like a monster. So the third generation author Ishika, she commented, this dark cloud, it looks like a monster. and there was a sunset and the sun was very bright. So she said, she was talking to herself, though I was sitting next to her, but then she said, can't, because that phase was a phase of, irritation, anger. We didn't know what to do. And then she said, can't this bright sun eat this coronavirus? And then she looked on the right side, there was, that was the month of May. So there was this gulmohar tree. And then she looked at the gulmohar tree and there was a twinkle in her eye, I could see. And then she was happy and then she moved to the kitchen. Now, for a moment, that was a moment of insight for me. And I thought this turned into a drabble. In fact, it is a part of this book which I had composed, the drabble. Now, so that was the beginning. So then I asked her to get involved and start writing the drabbles. And then the grandfather also, fortunately, all three of us are avid readers and we like to write. Then we asked the grandfather and he also joined in. But that was just an exercise to involve ourselves during the lockdown period. Now, so when it turned out to be very interesting, and then we showed to one of our author friends who's a senior author. You may have heard about him. He is Mr. Harinder Sikka. See, he has written a best-selling book called Calling Sehmat. So, there's a Hindi movie called Razi. So that Razi movie is based on his book, Calling Sehmat. So we had met him at Hyderabad Literature Festival, and we showed him these drabbles, and he said he encouraged us a lot, and he was asking us, so where are we sending it for publication? Then we said, okay, nowhere, we are not sending it, we're just writing it, just an exercise. And I thought that it was the month of May, August, it was the third generation author's birthday, my daughter's birthday in August. I thought it would be a good gift to give to her friends and all, just get it printed. So then he said, no, you must, this is a very unique, a different format, and it is going to encourage the habit of book reading amongst children. So why don't you send to the publishers, to Penguin, to Rupa? And we just laughed it loud. We said, no, they will not even respond. These publishers, they will not even take any cognizance of this fact that then he said, no, you must send. And heeding his advice, we did send to the publishers, to Rupa and Penguin, and to our delight, the response came positive. So they agreed, and from there the journey started. And then we wrote a few more drabbles, and then we gave it for publication. And the book, by God's grace, has been received well. So this was a journey.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much once again for telling us about your wonderful journey and talking about your inspirations. And in fact, my next question was about to ask you to read a drabble, which has also been wonderfully done by you. And again, I wanted to also ask you about the challenge of writing in 100 words, and you beautifully summed it up by quoting Shakespeare, brevity is the soul of wit. It indeed is. So moving on to the next question, ma'am, could you please tell us about a couple of challenges, or were there any issues or challenges which you faced while getting your book published?
Yeah. So, see, we were very naive when it came to publishing our work. We didn't know about the nitty-gritties involved in the publishing. So, as I said, we were not going into publication from the word go. But then when we were encouraged by Mr. Sikka, so he said you have to give it for publication. So we had given, and then when we sent it to the publisher, then he asked, by talking to him, he said, when you have given to the publisher, have you gone in for the copyright? We said, no, we didn't know. He said, no, you have to obtain a copyright from the Copyright Office, though it is not mandatory, but it is always safe. Otherwise, it is like there could be an infringement of your rights. Your work is original, so you have to apply for a copyright. So that issue, we didn't know that it was such a serious thing. It was, we took it very lightly. We thought, okay, we'll give it to the publisher and they will accept or they will reject, but whatever. So obtaining a copyright is one of the most important things about which we didn't know. And, another thing is that it was a 10-page contract. It was a 10-page memorandum of understanding between the publisher and the author. And when looking at it, we were also confused because there were so many rights, the print rights, the translation rights, and when everything was so, because it is a group of publications, so everything was very streamlined, very structured, and all these small clauses, they had importance, they were of value. So we had to take help of our legal friend. In fact, Subhajit was also one of the friends who had guided us in this. So the copyright thing is one issue. And the second is, of course, though I have published research papers, so I knew about the originality of work. So I knew that the work has to be original. It should not be plagiarized. So when I was, although there are now tests, like to check for plagiarism. So we had run through those tests, the softwares to check for plagiarism. And that second issue is of plagiarism, checking on plagiarism. So these are the things. And then we had to coordinating, of course, with the publisher at a continuous basis. Those were some challenges which we faced.
Thank you once again for taking us through that. And was it again? I don't know if this is going to sound repetitive, but could you please tell us very briefly how easy it was, or how difficult was it to write it in 100 words?
Yeah, so as I said, the first drabble which I wrote, it was not at all easy. By looking at it, when they said 100-word story, then I said, okay, yeah, what is there? 100 word we can write. What is the big deal about it? But then when I actually picked the pen, then it was extremely difficult. And my first drabble which I wrote for a book club meeting, so that was the one which I read out. So in the first go, it was, no matter how short I tried to write, it came out to 350. Now, after editing, cutting, it came to 200. Then I just shut my pen and book, and I said, no, it is impossible to write a story in 100 words. The story is going to be meaningless. So I am not able to cut even a single word. I just kept it back. Now, see, in psychology, we have a concept called the Zeigarnik effect. So Zeigarnik effect means that if you leave a task unfinished, then again and again, that task keeps haunting you, that you have left that unfinished. So I was like lying in bed one day, and I just immediately I got up. It was after 2 days. I had left it as I know it is just not possible. Then I got up after 2 days. I took out my pen, and lo and behold, you wouldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it myself. There, not even a single word was getting edited. Now it was exactly 100 words, and the story, it does not seem that it is a meaningless story. It has its own significance. Though, of course, yes, I wanted to write many things. I just wanted to give a more detailed explanation about the description of the background, many things, but then it is not possible in a drabble. If we have to write all this, we're free to write a longer story. So this is one format, one genre of writing, which is drabble writing, and not everything can be accomplished, but still we can say a lot.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I'm getting reminded of the very popular words of Francis Bacon here. Some books are to be tasted, others are to be swallowed, some few to be chewed and digested, according to Francis Bacon. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us a glimpse of that. We have another question from one of our students, ma'am. I'm going to be asking this on behalf of one of our students who has asked, we know that the immense success of the English version of your book saw it getting translated into Hindi. Are you planning to have it translated in other languages as well? And what are some of the challenges involved in translating drabbles especially?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So see, translation is not an easy job. We thought that but fortunately Hindi is my mother tongue. So we went for the Hindi translation. And see, we have to give a lot of importance to it. Translation does not mean a line by line translation. So what has to be done is you have to understand the gist of the story, and so many things are there, the phrases, the proverbs. So the imagery, the symbolism which is used by the author, they are very important. So it cannot be a literal translation. So like, for example, I'll just tell you the Ruskin Bond's quote. Ruskin Bond has said that a drabble a day should keep the doctor away. Now, this is a proverb. So, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So, Ruskin Bond has used this. This is a entertaining collection of tiny tales for tired COVID-19 survivors. A drabble a day should keep the doctor away. Now, if you need to, this is just an example which I am giving. So when we have to translate in any language, say for example Hindi, now you cannot have a literal translation. You cannot say that a drabble a day should keep the doctor away. Ek din, then ek drabble doctor ko dur rakhega. No. So there are equivalent proverbs, muhavre hain Hindi mein, so which have to be used here in this case. We can't say कि हर दिन एक drabble पढ़ने से doctor दूर भागेगा, नहीं. तो ये है कि you have to say that what ultimately what came out is that ये है कि एक हर मर्ज को दूर रखेगी हर दिन एक drabble की खुराक. So ये हिंदी का equivalent मुहावरा है. So you have to be extremely cautious about the phrases because they are not there in Hindi. We have to use the equivalent and some nearby. And the author and the translator both had to work in tandem. So if you get the opportunity in other languages, there is a demand. People are wanting in Bangla also and in many other languages. We would definitely want to go to more readers. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And would you like to tell us about the inspiration which you have taken from any of your favorite writers or style of writing? Very briefly, ma'am.
No, actually, yeah. Yeah, so see, this book which we have written, all three of us, the grandfather, the mother, and the daughter, all three of our favorite author is Ruskin Bond. So, in fact, our book is a dedication to him. So, it was Ruskin Bond's in 2020, it was Ruskin Bond's 86th birthday. He was turning 86, and it was also the 75th year of his literary journey. So, that is why this book has got 86 drabbles, not 100. Usually one would expect 100-word stories, so 100 stories. But we stopped at 86 because it is a tribute to him. And the Hindi one, then the Hindi version came, the translation came up the next year. So Ruskin Bond turned 87. So the Hindi version has got 87 drabbles. So we have inspired by Ruskin Bond because his writing appeals to us. It is very simple, but it conveys so much. It doesn't use very flowery language and which goes above the head. So that's where we are inspired by him.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Indeed, any book lover of any generation, I think would go back to Ruskin Bond for the simplicity and the vividness with which he captures Mussoorie and much more. Thank you for bringing that, ma'am. Would you like to give any advice for the young and budding writers? Because we have a lot of students in our school who are budding writers, who write poetry, who write short pieces of writing, and much more. They write essays, articles. So do you have any words of advice for them?
Yeah, see, actually, I frankly, honestly, I would not like to give any advice because each child is unique. The child, he or she has their own style of writing. But what I would definitely like to say is that whatever you write, you should write what you are interested in. And the characters, you should love your characters. Then only it will come out. Whatever you're writing, if you just blindly follow some other writer's style of writing, it is not going to help. You have your own unique style. Do that. Follow that and write accordingly. And reading is very important. Just read, and read. It can be anything. It may not be a thick book. It may not be a classic. You can read the newspaper. You can read any magazine, any article, anything, whatever you like. Just keep on reading, and writing also is important. Keep writing, keep penning down your experiences. Life is a story. Each second, every moment is a story. So just pen it down, and you can make it. You just write it down, and you can make it right. RIGHT later. Just write, and you can make it right later. So, and the language which you use should be simple and understandable so that it reaches a larger audience. May not use very flowery and flashy language. These are some tips which I would like to give.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you once again. And that was about writing as a style. So again, from on behalf of the question of the students, once again, I think the impact of digital platforms has been quite so much now that they do not know the art of using formal language, formal terms. I think I'll be uh, again, I'm also asking as an English teacher, when we read what they write, it's quite often sprinkled and peppered with words which are something which are shortened or abbreviations, and such kind of words. So um, what is your word of advice for enabling them to understand formal language and understand the beauty of it, both in speech and writing?
Yeah, I mean, now it's a world of abbreviated language. So we are using U, IOU. We are using the alphabet U.
Yes.
Emojis are supposed to explain everything. One emoji is supposed to explain everything, but that is not right. I think whenever we should use cause, because we're using COS. So that we should not be doing. We should. The English language is a beautiful language, and we should. Write language which everybody is able to follow us, not the flashy and not the abbreviated language also. So, I mean, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, that's right. Uh, Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for very patiently answering to all the questions. And also, thank you so much for telling us much about what a drabble is and how you have been able to read a couple of the lines which you have written. It has been a pleasure to listen to you, especially on the occasion of World um, Book and Copyright Day that is on the 23rd of April. It has been immense delight and pleasure having been listened to you for the past couple of minutes, ma'am. Thank you for graciously accepting our invitation and being able to share with with us all your insights. Thank you, Shri Subhajit Saha sir, for giving us your insightful words and suggestions. And I think we have come to the end of this momentous
Just
session.
before we close, I think Vidya, I just wanted to thank Ruchi ma'am, who has actually thrown light on, in parallel to Pressy writing, if you recollect. And, dear students, when you go to colleges, there'll be reasons when you have to summarize, a complete piece of lecture, or probably, you will have to give a presentation in a couple of slides, or a complete day-long workshop what you attend has to be, put into a smaller piece of expression. So I think another form of drabble, I would call it, in the real life. I think that's one more take that we have, and Dr. Ruchi Ranjan has wonderfully put it across, be it the authors who have, inspired her. And I like the way the significance of 86 was put up for, Ruskin Bond, all-time favorite for all of us. And I still remember how Room on the Roof and, be it Blue Umbrella, if I'm not mistaken. I think there were quite a few books that we had by Ruskin Bond, and be the short stories. And these carried a lot of significance. We could connect so well, and he could take us to our childhood, because the pranks that a youngster does was given in a very elaborate manner, and you could sense each and every sentence. You could live through, the life that he had expressed. And I really like the one drabble that you had read out for us, ma'am. That gave us an insight into how 100 words can actually be a real power packet. You can express a lot. This is another version of a, novel that runs into thick pages, or a story that runs into few hundred or few, scores of pages, and putting it in a nutshell. And dear children, understand there'll be reasons when you get inspired by a quote or a slogan. So I think a drabble, I would call it a quote version of a long story or a novel put in a, in a reformed manner. So thank you so much, ma'am. I would actually thank DPS Nacharam for having given this platform for all the students to have an insight into a wonderful bestseller and a national author like you, who gave a wonderful, explanation to the questions that Ms. Vidya had put up. Thank you so much, Vidya. And the interesting questions that both Ms. Vidya as well as the students had put it up for you. So one closing remark from Mr. Subhajit Saha, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. I think it's a pleasure to listen to Dr. Ruchi, ma'am. Even I was not aware of so many things. I'm an avid reader, but not into lot of novels. But my favorite time was Tinkle when I was going, and still read when I get my hands on. Yeah, but it's always those comics of Chacha Chaudhary and all. But any book is fascinating. So now I think I would say as a small task to Dr. Nandita that we always have something. The World IP Day is coming up on 26th April. So I would request today that, from this session as a takeaway, if your students can attempt a drabble on any of the subject and then send it to us to the society's email ID. So
I'm sure, dear children. How about
and
you?
Then probably,
you take up
so
this
this
challenge,
is a contest,
right?
which we thought will, So any topic of your interest, remember copyright is, it protects the expression of an idea. The can be same. That's when you have one film and there are multiple expressions of a film. So you can have your own expression, as ma'am was saying. So you protect the expression. So create your own rabble, 100 words, and send to us. It's not, but it's a forced homework. It's a choiced homework. So you can actually come back, or and then we will go through it. Probably we'll send it to Ruchi ma'am, and then she can judge it. And then the top 3 will be kind of felicitated through IPRS on a day. I think that will be an important significance that yes, there was a takeaway, and people have learned, students have learned from this, and then probably might become very good drabble writers in the future. That was my only, I'm sorry, I think people will not like me for this, your students, but I thought I should give some kind of.
No, but I think that's a wonderful offer, sir, that giving it on a platter for all the children to make an attempt on writing a drabble. And I'm sure all the English teachers for the secondary as well as the senior secondary are going to really put in something. Let's have a, school level competition, and further we send the best I think write-ups to you for further judgment. Yes, I take this opportunity. Thank you so much, Dr. Ruchi Ranjan, for being there with us throughout. And I thank Mr. Subhajit Saha, because there was a lot of insight into bringing this as a possibility, a lot of takeaways for the children. Like I said, school takes pride in having more than 300 authors here, be it in the form of short stories. There are children who've written novels, there are children who are into poetry writing, and senior secondary has something called as a newsletter, which is quarterly newsletter, DPS Chimes that we have. We have innovative magazines being edited by the student community of secondary level. And in fact, every level has something or the other to contribute. So I think let us not, completely switch over to the digital part of it. And let us keep in mind that copyrights are reserved. Very, very importantly, we cannot just copy paste anything from anywhere. And thank you so much, Dr. Ruchi, for throwing light on Copyright Day. And as a part of World Book Day, let us celebrate that books are there to stay for life. These, the more, the older, the history teaches us back to reflect on what was, what is, and what will be. So these are the think tanks that exist in the libraries. And let us not confine them to the four walls of the libraries alone, but let us move ahead, take it into our hands and go through it and get a lot of knowledge. Thank you so much. Thank you, dear children, for being part of this, and patient audience there. That's a good show from your end.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much on
Thank
behalf
you.
of
Have a
DPS.
wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidya, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for my office, Vidya.
Thank you.
So I think, Vidya, we could close down.